Jack Carter hadn't slept through a full night in 14 months. 3 a.m. was when the ghosts came, not metaphorical ones, but the kind that made your hands shake and your breath catch and your heart slam against your ribs like it was trying to escape. Tonight was worse. Tonight, Kodiak was growling.
Violence ends faster.
The Belgian Malinois stood at the window, every muscle locked, 75 pounds of trained violence waiting for a target. Jack rolled out of bed bare feet, hitting cold floor. "What is it, boy?" The dog didn't look back, just kept staring into the rain-soaked darkness. Jack moved to the window. Across the yard, 3 men were dragging his neighbor down her front steps. Alara Hayes, the quiet widow who baked cookies for the neighborhood kids. One man had her by the hair. Another twisted her arms behind her back. The third raised a baseball bat over her head. Inside the house, pressed against the wall, a little girl in yellow pajamas watched her mother about to die. Jack's hand went to his nightstand. Empty. He'd promised himself no more weapons, no more violence, no more war. That promise lasted exactly 2 seconds. "Kodiak." The dog's head snapped toward him. "We're going to work." Jack hit his front door running, bare feet on wet concrete, rain hammering his face 30 feet between him and the man with the bat. He covered it in 4 seconds. His shoulder caught the guy, center mass perfect tackle, the kind that separates ribs from cartilage. They crashed through the porch railing together. Wood splintered. The bat clattered away. Jack rolled, came up, drove his fist into the man's jaw. Crack. The guy went limp. "Who the hell?" The second man let go of Alara, reaching into his jacket. Jack saw the gun coming out. "Kodiak arm!" The dog launched like a missile with teeth. One moment the man had a pistol. The next moment Kodiak had his wrist, and the gun was spinning across wet grass, and the man was screaming words that would have made a sailor blush. The third man came at Jack with a knife. Jack caught his wrist. Twisted. Snap. The man dropped, howling. 3 men down in 15 seconds. Jack turned to Alara. She'd collapsed against the steps, blood streaming from her nose, her lips split open. "Are you hurt, ma'am?" "Lily," she gasped. "My daughter." Jack was through the door before she finished. The little girl stood frozen in the hallway. 7 years old. Yellow pajamas. Eyes huge and dark and full of terror that no child should ever feel. Jack dropped to one knee. "Hey, sweetheart. I'm Jack. I live next door." His voice came out softer than he thought it could anymore. "Those bad men can't hurt you now." Lily's lips moved. No sound came out. "It's okay to be scared," Jack said. "But I need you to be brave for just a few more minutes. Can you go upstairs and lock your door?" She nodded. "Tiny. Quick. Good girl. I'm going to stay right here until the police come. Nobody's going to hurt you or your mom, I promise." The word promise felt like broken glass in his mouth. He'd stopped making promises in Afghanistan. Lily ran upstairs, small feet thundering on old wood. Jack pulled out his phone, dialed 911. Outside, Kodiak stood over the 3 men like some kind of mythical guardian beast. Not attacking, not backing down, just watching with teeth bared and muscles coiled. The 911 operator answered. "I need police and paramedics at 447 Coastal Drive. 3 suspects in custody, home invasion, assault, 1 civilian injured." He kept his voice flat. Clinical. The way you report facts when emotion will only slow things down. "Sir, are you—" "Send units now." He hung up, walked back outside. Alara had pulled herself into sitting position. Her face was already swelling, turning colors no face should turn. "Who are they?" Jack asked. "I don't know." Her voice shook. They said Mr. Vane sent them, that I had one more chance to sell or—" She couldn't finish. Jack put his hand on her shoulder. Just for a second, just to ground her. "It's over." He had no idea how wrong he was. The youngest attacker, maybe 30, scorpion tattoo climbing his neck, looked toward the road like he was expecting someone. That made Jack nervous. Sirens in the distance now, getting closer. By the time the first patrol car arrived, Jack had zip-tied all 3 men with plastic ties from Alara's garage. 2 more pistols, a folding knife, a phone that wouldn't stop buzzing with calls from Apex. Officer Chen stepped out of his cruiser, young, fresh-faced, hand resting on his service weapon. "I need everyone to stay calm. And Jesus, is that a military working dog?" "Retired," Jack said. "The dog and me both." Chen stared at the 3 men on the ground, at Alara's bloody face, at the weapons laid out like evidence at a crime scene. "Sir, I'm going to need you to tell me exactly what happened here." So Jack told him, not the part where it felt good, where for 90 seconds he'd been useful again, needed again, alive again, just the facts. Chen took notes, called for backup, called for a supervisor. Within 20 minutes, Jack's quiet street looked like a parking lot for emergency vehicles. Detective Sarah Klein arrived 40-something with eyes that had seen too much to be impressed by much of anything. "Mr. Carter." She shook his hand with a grip that said, "I take no shit." That was some impressive restraint work. "I'm not most civilians." "I can see that." She glanced at Kodiak. "Navy. SEAL. 8 years. Something shifted in her expression. Recognition. "These men say they were investigating a property dispute," Klein said. "That Mrs. Hayes invited them here." Heat rose in Jack's chest. "Detective, I watched them drag her off her porch and prepare to beat her with a baseball bat while her 7-year-old daughter watched. If that's how property disputes work in Oak Haven, you've got bigger problems than me." Klein's mouth almost smiled. "Relax, Carter. I'm on your side." She lowered her voice. "Between you and me, we've been getting complaints about Apex Holdings for months. This is different. This is felony assault." "Who's Vane?" Her expression hardened. "Silas Vane, real estate developer out of Seattle. Came here 3 years ago to revitalize the waterfront. Bought up half the town displaced, half the people who'd lived here for generations." She paused. "Mrs. Hayes's property is one of the last holdouts. So he sends thugs." "Looks that way." Jack felt something cold settle into his gut. "He's going to come after her again." "I know." Klein met his eyes. "That's why I need you to keep watching, unofficially." Jack looked at Alara in the ambulance holding ice to her face. Small, shattered, alone. "Yeah," he said. "I'll watch." The man with the scorpion tattoo caught Jack's eye as officers loaded him into a patrol car. He smiled. Not friendly. The smile of someone who knew something you didn't. The patrol car pulled away. Jack didn't watch it go. He was too busy watching the dark sedan idling at the corner. Tinted windows, no plates visible, engine running. Kodiak growled again. "I know, boy," Jack murmured. "I know." 4 a.m. The circus packed up and left. Jack sat on his porch with coffee going cold in his hands. Across the way, one light burned in Alara's upstairs window. Lily's room. His phone buzzed. "Heard you made some noise tonight. You okay, Ben Riley?" Ghost. His old teammate from SEAL Team 3. Jack typed back, "Define okay." 3 dots appeared. That bad want company. Jack looked at his empty cottage. At the bottle of whiskey he'd been resisting for 14 months. Yeah, could use a friendly face. Give me 8 hours. Address. Jack sent it. He didn't know yet that calling Ben was either the smartest or stupidest decision he'd make all week. Tug. The sun came up gray and cold. Jack had already run 5 miles. 200 push-ups. Core work until his abs screamed. When he got back, Alara Hayes sat on his front steps. She looked worse in daylight. Bruises ripening into purple and yellow. Right eye swollen nearly shut. But she'd cleaned up. Changed clothes. Put her hair back. Something in her posture said, "Not broken yet." "Mrs. Hayes, you should be resting." "I wanted to thank you." Her voice was steady. Those men would have killed me. In front of my daughter. If you hadn't... You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. She stood. I don't know how to repay something like that. Jack shook his head. No repayment necessary. You're my neighbor. They stood there. Two strangers bound by violence and chance. Finally, Alara spoke. I need to tell you something. About why those men came. About what Silas Vane really wants. Jack gestured to his porch chairs. Then sit down and start from the beginning. Alara's story came out in pieces. Her husband Marcus had been a marine biologist. Brilliant. Passionate. 5 years ago, he'd inherited property on Oak Haven Cove, 60 acres of pristine coastline, a small research station. Then, 2 years ago, Marcus died. Boating accident, Alara said. Something in her tone made Jack's spine straighten. You don't believe that. I don't know what to believe anymore. She twisted her hands together. Marcus was the most careful person I ever met. He checked his equipment 3 times before every dive. He never took risks. But his boat went down in calm weather in waters he'd navigated 1,000 times. They never found his body. Just wreckage. Jack felt puzzle pieces fitting together in ugly ways. When did Vane first approach you? 6 months after Marcus died. Offered me twice what the property was worth. Said he wanted to build a luxury eco-resort. She laughed bitterly. I said no. That land is Lily's inheritance. There's more. Marcus found something, in the cove, about 3 months before he died. He wouldn't tell me what said it was too dangerous. But he was documenting everything, sending reports to NOAA, the Coast Guard, anyone who would listen. What kind of something? I don't know. He kept his research locked at the station. But after he started asking questions, we got followed. Our phones clicked with static. Marcus became paranoid, said someone was watching us. Jack's instincts screamed. And then his boat went down. And then his boat went down. Alara met his gaze. 6 months later, Silas Vane showed up with a checkbook and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You should have told the police. I tried. Detective Klein was sympathetic, but there's no evidence, just a widow's suspicions. Alara paused. But last night changed things. Last night, Vane's men came to my house and tried to beat me in front of my daughter. That's not a businessman. That's a criminal. Yes? Silence. Then Alara said, I need to get into Marcus's office, at the research station. I need to find whatever he was working on. Because if Silas Vane wants this property bad enough to send armed men, there's something worth protecting. Jack thought about the smart thing to do. Stay out of it. Let the police handle it. Be a good neighbor, not a crusader. Instead, he said, When do you want to go? Alara blinked. You'll help me. Those men came once. They'll come again, probably with more people and a better plan. If we're going to stop this, we need to know what we're dealing with. He paused. Plus, I've got a friend flying in this morning. Former SEAL specialized in intelligence. Between the 3 of us, we might figure out what your husband discovered. For the first time since he'd met her, Alara smiled. Small. Fragile. Real. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Jack said. Things are going to get worse before they get better. He had no idea how right he was. Ben Riley arrived at noon. Rental car, gray, anonymous. He looked exactly the same tall, lean, forgettable face, the kind of guy who could blend into any crowd and disappear the moment you looked away. Brother. Ben pulled Jack into a brief, hard hug. You look terrible. Good to see you too, asshole. They grinned. So, Ben said, want to tell me why you're starting a war with a real estate developer? Jack told him everything. The attack, Alara's story, Marcus Hayes's mysterious research, Silas Vane's aggressive acquisition attempts. Ben listened without interrupting. When Jack finished, Ben was quiet. Then, you know this is hinky as hell, right? Yeah. Dead marine biologist, corrupt developer, mysterious research station, Hinky. Yeah. And you're planning to stick your nose directly into it. Yeah. Ben sighed. Good. I was worried retirement made you soft. He popped his trunk. I brought toys. Inside, enough surveillance equipment to make a dictator jealous. Cameras, listening devices, portable servers, military-grade laptop. Jesus, Ghost, where did you get all this? Don't ask questions you don't want answered. Ben started pulling equipment out. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. I want eyes on that research station before we go in. I want to know who's watching and what they're packing. And I want a complete background on Silas Vane and Apex Holdings. How long? 6 hours if I'm fast and lucky. Ben grinned. Let's be fast and lucky. They set up command post in Jack's garage. Ben's laptop hummed to life. Networks, databases. Things Jack definitely didn't have clearance for anymore. Information flowed across the screen. Vane's cleaner than I expected, Ben muttered. Apex Holdings is legitimate. Pays taxes, files paperwork. But look. He pulled up a flowchart. Apex is owned by Cascade Development. Cascade is owned by Pacific Northwest Ventures. Pacific Northwest is owned by a holding company in the Cayman Islands. That company is owned by a trust in Singapore that doesn't technically exist. So he's hiding money. He's hiding everything. This is offshore tax evasion, the kind of structure you only build if you're moving dirty money. Ben clicked through screens. And his employee list, 3 guys with military backgrounds, not regular military. These are all discharged for disciplinary issues. Violence. One did 2 years in Leavenworth for assaulting a superior. Cold certainty settled over Jack. He's not just a developer. No, he's running something else. Development is the cover. What about the research station? Any records of Marcus Hayes's work? Ben pulled up NOAA databases. Marcus received federal funding to study pollution patterns, standard stuff. But look at his last reports 3 months before he died. Jack leaned closer. Dense scientific jargon, but certain phrases jumped out: anomalous chemical signatures, unidentified vessels, potential illegal dumping. He was tracking pollution, Jack said. Found something that wasn't supposed to be there. More than that. Ben highlighted a section. He found a pattern. Ships coming in and out of Oak Haven Cove at night. Always without harbor registration. He got photographs. A grainy image appeared: cargo ship, medium-sized, no visible name or numbers, sitting low in the water. And then Marcus Hayes died, Jack said, and his research conveniently disappeared. Except it didn't disappear. It's still at the station, locked in his office, where Vane can't get to it without raising suspicions. But if he owns the property, he gets legal access, can destroy everything, and nobody can stop him. Jack called Alara. First ring. We need to get to that station, he said. Tonight. Okay. No hesitation. I'll meet you at sunset. Jack hung up. Think you can wire the place before we go in? Ben was already packing. Brother, I can have it tighter than a submarine by dinner. If Vane's people come anywhere near, we'll know before they do. The research station was 15 minutes north, accessed by narrow dirt road through coastal forest. Jack drove slowly, scanning. Nothing. But that didn't mean they weren't being watched. The station looked abandoned, windows dark, door locked. Faded sign, Hayes Marine Research. Ben set up immediately. Tiny cameras in trees, motion sensors on the access road. Everything running back to a portable server hidden under the foundation. Jack did perimeter sweep with Kodiak. Found them. Footprints near the back door. Fresh cigarette butts. Scratch marks around the lock. They've been here, Jack called. Recently. Then we work fast. By the time Alara arrived Honda with Lily in the back, the surveillance net was complete. Impressive, Alara said, looking at Ben's laptop showing 8 camera feeds. SEALs, Ben said. We're good at breaking stuff and watching stuff. Sometimes simultaneously, Jack added. Alara almost laughed. Maybe the first time she'd laughed since Marcus died. They approached the front door. Alara pulled out a key. Old brass, worn smooth. Marcus made me promise never to come here alone, she said quietly. Said if anything happened, I should bring help. Bring someone I trusted. She looked at Jack. I trust you. The door opened. Inside smelled of salt and old coffee and time passing. Marcus's office, locked behind a second door, was pristine. Alara unlocked it with shaking hands. Small but organized. File cabinets, old computer. Corkboards covered in maps with color-coded pins. On the desk, a leather journal. His field notebook, Alara whispered. He took it everywhere. She opened it. First pages, standard research. Water temperature. pH levels. Wildlife observations. Halfway through the entries changed. Marcus's handwriting became urgent, erratic, words underlined. Found it again. Same ship. Third time this month. They're dumping something into the cove. Chemical signature doesn't match known pollutants. Need samples. Need proof before they stopped mid-sentence. Next page blank. Every remaining page torn out. Only ragged edges left. Alara went white. Someone got here first. That's when the first camera went dark. Then the second. Then the third. Ben's laptop flashed red. We've got company, he said. Voice suddenly cold. Professional. Multiple vehicles. Coming fast. Jack's training kicked in. How many? 3 cars minimum. 15 people. Armed probably. Ben was already packing. They're blocking the access road. We're trapped. Jack looked at Alara. At Lily in the corner with a book, blissfully unaware. At Kodiak, gone, rigid ears forward. At Ben. Time to go to work, Jack said. Damn right. Outside, engines revving, doors slamming, men shouting. Inside, Jack Carter stopped running from who he was. Alara, take Lily to the back room. Lock the door. Get low. Stay quiet. Jack's voice was steady. The same tone he'd used 100 times when things were about to get loud. Alara grabbed her daughter and ran. Ben killed the lights. Darkness swallowed the station. 3 heat signatures coming around back, Ben said, watching his screen. 5 at the front. Rest hanging by the vehicles. Weapons. Definitely. Jack's mind raced through options. Wooden building, big windows, no cover, nowhere to retreat, and civilians to protect. We make them hesitate, Jack said. Make them think twice. He moved to the front window. Stayed in shadows. 8 men spreading out. Loose assault formation. Professional training but no real combat experience. One had a battering ram. 30 seconds, Ben said. Jack whistled softly. Kodiak was there instantly. You remember what we did in Kandahar when they had us trapped? The dog's tail wagged. Once. Yes. Good boy. Jack pointed at the door. Kodiak, watch. The dog moved into position. Silent. Invisible. 75 pounds waiting for the command. The ram hit. Once. Twice. Third hit. Lock shattered. Door exploded inward. 3 men rushed through. Guns drawn. Nobody move. Get on the ground. They made it 4 steps. Jack said one word, take. Kodiak moved like heat-seeking missile. First man down, teeth finding forearm. Perfect precision. Gun clattered away, man screaming. Jack was already moving, using distraction. Closed distance on second intruder. Disarm. Strike. Down. Ben materialized from nowhere, living up to his call sign, and put the third man in a chokehold so smooth, the guy barely registered what happened before going unconscious. 10 seconds. 3 men down. 0 shots fired. Attackers outside froze. This wasn't their plan. Jack grabbed a dropped pistol Glock 19 and moved to the window. That's far enough, he shouted. I'm a retired Navy SEAL, and this property is under my protection. Police have been called. You have 10 seconds to get back in your vehicles before this becomes felony assault on a federal operator. Mostly bullshit, but it sounded scary. Men outside hesitated. One stepped forward, older, harder, actual military bearing. We just want to talk to Mrs. Hayes. No need for ugliness. It got ugly when you showed up with 15 armed men. Jack's voice was ice. Now you've got 8 seconds. We're not leaving without... Jack fired once, high and wide, intentionally missing by 10 feet. But the crack of the pistol was like a starting gun. Attackers scattered, diving for cover. That's one warning shot, Jack yelled. Next ones won't miss. Get out. Nobody moved. Then the older man shouted orders. Attackers started withdrawing, dragging their unconscious companions. Engines roared, tires spun. 90 seconds convoy disappeared down the access road. Dust. Silence. Burnt rubber smell. Jack kept the pistol trained until he was sure. Clear, Ben said, checking laptop. They're really leaving. Jack lowered the weapon, hands shaking slightly from adrenaline. Kodiak heel. The dog trotted over, tail wagging, pleased with himself. Good boy. Jack scratched behind his ears. Such a good boy. Alara emerged. Lily clutched to her chest. Are they gone? For now. Jack's voice was grim. But they'll be back. More people. Better planning. What do we do? Jack looked at Ben. We get out, Ben said, already moving. Secure evidence. Get Alara and Lily somewhere safe. Then figure out what the hell Vane's really protecting. They moved fast, grabbed everything from Marcus's office. Journal with torn pages. File boxes. Computer hard drive. By the time they left, full darkness had fallen. Jack drove with headlights off, using night vision from his military days, taking back roads that didn't appear on GPS. Ben followed, running electronic counter-surveillance. In the back seat, Alara held Lily close, whispered promises everything would be okay. Jack hoped she was right, but his gut, the part that survived 8 years by trusting instincts, knew this was only the beginning. They'd just declared war on Silas Vane. Men like Vane didn't back down. They escalated. The question was how far, and whether Jack could stop him before someone innocent ended up dead. The man with the scorpion tattoo had smiled at him. That smile meant, this isn't over. And Jack knew somewhere in Oak Haven right now, Silas Vane was making a phone call. Calling someone worse than thugs with baseball bats. Calling professionals. Calling killers. The real war was about to begin. They drove in silence for 20 minutes before Jack spoke. Ben, pull over at the next turnoff. Why? Because if they're tracking us, I want to know now. Ben's rental car followed Jack's truck onto a gravel shoulder overlooking the ocean. Darkness everywhere except for the thin line where black water met black sky. Jack killed the engine, got out, walked to the back of his truck, and dropped to his knees, running his hands along the undercarriage. What are you doing? Alara's voice came from the passenger window. Checking for trackers. His fingers found something that didn't belong. Small. Magnetic. About the size of a quarter. GPS tracker. Jack's blood went cold. He held it up so Ben could see. They've been following us since we left the station. No. Ben was already out of his car checking his own vehicle. They've been following us since before the station. Which means they knew we were coming. Jack crushed the tracker under his boot. This wasn't a response team. This was an ambush. Alara's face appeared in the truck window. Even in darkness, Jack could see her fear. How did they know? Good question. Jack pulled out his phone, opened the settings, checked for unfamiliar apps. Nothing. But when he checked Alara's phone handed over without hesitation, he found it. Hidden in the background processes, disguised as a system update. Spyware. They've been listening to everything, Jack said quietly. Every call, every conversation. They knew we were going to the research station because we talked about it this morning. Alara's hand went to her mouth. Oh God. Lily. They heard me talking to Lily. Hey. Jack's voice was firm but gentle. They heard us. That's in the past. What matters now is they won't hear us anymore. He dropped her phone on the ground, stomped it into pieces. We go dark, Ben said, already destroying his own phone. Burners only, cash only, no credit cards, no digital footprints, no social media. We become ghosts. Jack nodded, then turned to Alara. I need you to trust me now more than ever. Can you do that? She looked at him. This stranger who'd crashed into her life 12 hours ago and turned everything upside down. Yes, she said. I can. Good. Because we're not going to your house. We're not going to my house. We're going somewhere they can't find us while we figure out what your husband discovered. Where? Jack looked at Ben. Ben grinned. I know a place. The safe house was 40 minutes north, hidden in forest so dense that GPS couldn't get a signal even if you wanted one. Ben had rented it 6 months ago under a fake name, paid cash for a year up front, and never told anyone, not even Jack, that it existed. Paranoid much? Jack asked as they pulled up to what looked like an abandoned hunting cabin. Paranoid is just prepared for things that haven't happened yet. Ben unlocked 3 separate deadbolts. Welcome to my retirement plan. Inside was nothing like a hunting cabin. Satellite internet, backup generators, enough MREs to survive a small apocalypse. And in the basement, Jack saw when Ben opened a hidden floor panel enough weapons to start a small war. Jesus, ghost. Would I like to be ready? Alara carried Lily inside. The little girl was asleep now, worn out from fear and adrenaline, and being 7 years old in a world that suddenly made no sense. Second bedroom on the right, Ben said. Clean sheets, lock on the door. You'll be safe here. After Alara disappeared with her daughter Jack and Ben spread everything they'd taken from the research station across the main table. Marcus Hayes's journal with its torn-out pages. File boxes full of water samples and chemical analysis reports. The computer hard drive. And one thing Jack hadn't noticed before, a USB drive taped to the bottom of the journal's back cover. Well, well, Ben murmured. Dr. Hayes, you sneaky bastard. He plugged it into his laptop. Password protected. Give me 10 minutes, Ben said, fingers already flying across the keyboard. Jack walked to the window. Checked the perimeter through night vision scope Ben had casually left on the counter. Nothing moving except wind in the trees. But Jack's instincts were screaming that something was wrong. They'd escaped too easily. 15 armed men don't just give up because one SEAL fires a warning shot. They regroup. They call for backup. His phone buzzed, except he'd destroyed his phone 20 minutes ago. The burner Ben had given him was buzzing. Unknown number. Jack answered but didn't speak. Mr. Carter. The voice was smooth, educated, utterly calm. I apologize for the unfortunate events at the research station this evening. My employees exceeded their instructions. Who is this? Silas Vane. I believe you've been causing problems for my business interests. Jack's grip tightened on the phone. Your business interests include beating widows in front of their children. A regrettable misunderstanding. Those men have been terminated from my employ. A pause. I'm calling to propose a different arrangement. Mrs. Hayes wants to protect her late husband's legacy. I want to develop the waterfront. Surely we can find common ground. She's not selling. Everyone sells eventually, Mr. Carter. It's simply a question of price. Vane's voice dropped. You're a decorated veteran. 8 years with the SEALs, 2 Bronze Stars and a Purple Heart. You understand how the world works. You understand that some battles can't be won. Is that a threat? It's a fact. I have resources you can't imagine. Legal teams, political connections, people in positions of authority who owe me favors. Another pause. And Mrs. Hayes has a 7-year-old daughter. I would hate for that child to grow up without her mother the way she's growing up without her father. Something cold and dark rose in Jack's chest. If you touch that little girl... I don't make threats, Mr. Carter. I make offers. Here's mine: convince Mrs. Hayes to sell by the end of the week, and I'll pay triple the property's value. Enough money to give young Lily the best education, the best life, everything her father would have wanted. And, if we refuse, then I stop being generous. The line went dead. Jack stood there, phone pressed to his ear, listening to silence. Ben looked up from his laptop. Who was that? Vane. He knows we're together, knows my service record, knows about Lily. How? He's got access to military databases, which means he's got someone inside, someone with clearance. Ben's face went hard. This isn't just a corrupt developer, brother. This is organized, connected. We're not fighting some local criminal. We're fighting something bigger. Jack's phone, the burner, buzzed again. Text message from Vane's number. Just a photograph. It showed Lily's school, taken today. The little girl in her yellow raincoat walking to the entrance, completely unaware that someone was watching her. Son of a bitch, Jack whispered. He showed Ben the photo. He's telling us he can get to her anytime he wants. Then we don't give him the chance. Ben turned back to his laptop. I'm almost through the encryption on this USB drive. If we can figure out what Marcus Hayes found, we can figure out what Vane's really hiding. And if we know what he's hiding, we can destroy him. The encryption broke. Files opened across Ben's screen. Video files, dozens of them, all dated within 3 months of Marcus Hayes' death. Ben clicked the first one. Shaky footage appeared, shot from a boat at night using night vision. The timestamp read 2:47 a.m. A cargo ship sat low in the water in Oakhaven Cove. Men were lowering something over the side. Large containers, heavy, splashing into the dark water. Marcus's voice on the recording, barely a whisper. Third shipment this month. They're dumping directly into protected waters. I've collected samples from the bottom. Chemical composition matches nothing in the EPA database. I think it's weapons-grade material. I think they're disposing of military waste illegally. The video ended. Jack and Ben stared at each other. Military waste, Jack said slowly. That's not just illegal. That's federal prison for everyone involved. That's worth killing for. Ben opened another video file. That's worth making a marine biologist's boat accident look accidental. The second video showed the same ship from a different angle. This time, Marcus had zoomed in on the crew. The men loading the containers wore no identifying uniforms, but their movements were military precise, professional. These weren't dock workers or criminals. These were operators. And in the final frame before the video cut out, Marcus had frozen on one man's face. Ben enhanced the image. Run facial recognition, Jack said. Ben's fingers flew. Software searching through databases Jack wasn't supposed to have access to anymore. A match appeared. Trevor Walsh, Ben read. Former Army Special Forces, dishonorably discharged 8 years ago for Jesus for running black market weapons out of Iraq. Suspected in 3 murders, never charged. Currently employed by... He stopped. What? Currently employed by a private military contractor called Aegis Solutions. Ben's face had gone pale. Jack, Aegis isn't just some security company. They're connected to intelligence community, CIA, DIA, the kind of contractors who do things the government can't officially do. So Vane isn't working alone. Vane isn't even the real threat. Ben pulled up more information. Aegis Solutions is owned by a holding company that's owned by, you're not going to believe this, that's owned by a defense contractor that builds nuclear waste containment systems for the Department of Energy. Jack felt the pieces falling into place. They're disposing of military nuclear waste illegally, dumping it in the ocean instead of following proper protocols, saving millions in disposal costs and pocketing the difference. And when Marcus Hayes discovered it, they killed him and tried to buy his widow's land so they could eliminate the evidence and continue operations. How much money are we talking about? Ben did quick calculations. If they're processing waste from even one nuclear facility hundreds of millions a year, maybe billions. Jack walked away from the laptop, paced the length of the cabin. A widow and her daughter were caught in the middle of a conspiracy worth billions of dollars. A conspiracy involving military contractors, illegal weapons, and people with the resources to make problems disappear. People like Marcus Hayes. People like anyone who got in their way. "We're in over our heads," Jack said quietly. "Yeah. We should call the FBI, the EPA, someone with actual authority." "Yeah." Neither of them moved, because they both knew what would happen if they called. Investigations, hearings, months of legal proceedings while Alara and Lily sat exposed waiting for Vane's people to tie up loose ends. And if Aegis Solutions really had connections in the intelligence community, then making a phone call might just tell the bad guys exactly where to find them. "We need proof," Ben said. "Something so damning that Vane and his friends can't make it disappear. Something that goes public before they can stop it." The samples. Marcus collected water samples from the dump sites. "They're in the file boxes, but we need to get them analyzed by someone we trust. Someone outside Vane's reach." Jack thought about his old Navy contacts. Guys he'd served with. Guys who'd left the service and gone into civilian scientific positions. One name came to mind. Dr. Sarah Chen, MIT. She was naval intelligence before she went academic. Worked on detecting chemical weapons in Syria. If anyone can analyze these samples and tell us what we're dealing with, it's her. "Can you trust her?" "With my life." "Good, because that's exactly what we're betting." Ben started copying files to a secure drive. "I'll encrypt everything and send it to her through channels even Aegis can't intercept. But it'll take time for her to run the analysis. Maybe 48 hours. Vane's deadline is end of the week. That gives us 5 days. 5 days to stay alive and keep Alara and Lily safe." Ben looked up. "Think we can do it?" Jack thought about Trevor Walsh, about Aegis Solutions, about men with military training and no conscience coming after a little girl in a yellow raincoat. "We don't have a choice." A sound from the bedroom. Alara stood in the doorway. She'd heard everything. "They killed him," she said. Her voice was hollow. "Marcus found their dumping operation, and they killed him for it." Jack nodded. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry." Alara walked into the room. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "Be angry. I'm angry. I've been angry for 2 years, and everyone told me I was paranoid, that I was grieving, that I needed to accept it was an accident." She looked at the frozen video image of Trevor Walsh. "But I was right. And now we're going to prove it." "Mrs. Hayes." "Alara, if we're going to war together, you should use my first name." Jack almost smiled. "Alara, this isn't your fight anymore. Ben and I can take the evidence, get you and Lily into protective custody." "No." She cut him off. "They took my husband. They terrorized my daughter. They tried to beat me in my own home. This is absolutely my fight." She pulled out Marcus's journal. These torn-out pages. Marcus wouldn't have destroyed his own work, which means someone else did. Which means there was something in here worth hiding. She ran her fingers over the ragged edges. But Marcus was careful, meticulous. If someone forced him to tear out pages, he would have left something behind, some kind of backup. Ben leaned forward. "What are you thinking?" Alara held the journal up to the light, turned to a blank page near the back. Marcus used to do this thing when he was working on sensitive research. He'd write notes in pencil, then erase them so the pages looked blank. But if you looked closely, she tilted the page. In the right angle of light, faint indentations appeared. Ghost writing from the erased pencil. You could still read them. Ben grabbed a magnifying glass and high-intensity lamp from his equipment stash. Under the light, words emerged from the blank pages. Coordinates, chemical formulas, and a name, Alistair. Who's Alistair? Jack asked. I don't know, Alara said. Marcus never mentioned anyone by that name. Ben was already searching his databases. Alistair isn't a who, it's a what. Operation Alistair was a classified military program from the early 2000s, supposedly shut down after the Iraq War. It was... He stopped reading. Oh, hell. What? It was a black-budget program for disposing of experimental weapons and radioactive materials from clandestine operations. The kind of stuff that officially never existed, so it couldn't officially be disposed of through legal channels. So they created an illegal disposal program. Exactly. And when the program was supposedly shut down, all the contracts went to Aegis Solutions, Jack finished. They never shut it down, they just privatized it. Ben pulled up more files. This is massive. We're not talking about one dump site in Oak Haven. We're talking about a network spanning the entire Pacific coast. Maybe the entire country. Jack felt the weight of it settling over him. This wasn't about one widow's land anymore. This was about a criminal conspiracy at the highest levels of government and military contracting. A conspiracy that had already killed at least one person and wouldn't hesitate to kill more. We need more than samples, Jack said. We need someone on the inside, someone who can testify to the scope of the operation. Good luck finding someone willing to commit suicide, Ben muttered. But Alara was staring at the journal again. Wait. Marcus wrote something else here. She pointed to the margins of the page with the coordinates. More ghostwriting insurance. TH knows. Offshore account 4472. TH, Alara whispered. Thomas Harding. He was Marcus's research partner at the university. They published 3 papers together. Where is he now? Seattle. He's still teaching at UW. Jack looked at Ben. Think you can find out if Thomas Harding has an offshore account? Give me 20 minutes. While Ben worked, Jack did another perimeter check. Still nothing. But his instincts kept screaming. Vane had called too quickly, found them too easily, which meant his burner buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. You have something that belongs to me. I have something you need. Trade alone. Pier 47. Midnight. No signature. But Jack knew who it was from. He showed Ben. It's a trap, Ben said immediately. Obviously. So you're not going? Jack looked toward the bedroom where Lily slept. Thought about the photo of her school. Thought about Vane's threat. I would hate for that child to grow up without her mother. I'm going, Jack said, but not alone, and not unprepared. What are you thinking? Jack smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'm thinking it's time we stopped reacting and started taking the fight to them. Ben grinned. Now you're talking. They spent the next 3 hours planning. Weapons check. Route planning. Communication protocols. Extraction contingencies. All the things they used to do before an operation in Afghanistan, except this time the battlefield was an American city and the enemy wore expensive suits instead of tactical gear. At 11 p.m., Jack loaded his truck. Alara caught him at the door. Be careful. Always am. That's a lie, but I appreciate the effort. She touched his arm. Jack, thank you. For everything. For believing me when no one else would. Thank Marcus. He left you the evidence. We're just following his breadcrumbs. No. Her voice was firm. Marcus left me data. You're giving me hope. There's a difference. Jack didn't know what to say to that, so he just nodded and walked out into the darkness. Kodiak jumped into the truck bed without being asked. Some battles you fought alone. Some battles you brought your best friend. This was the second kind. As Jack drove toward Seattle, toward Pier 47, toward whatever trap Vane had waiting, he thought about a little girl in yellow pajamas who'd watched her mother almost die. He thought about a marine biologist who'd tried to do the right thing and paid with his life. He thought about all the other people who'd tried to stand up to powerful men with unlimited resources and ended up as cautionary tales. Jack Carter wasn't going to be a cautionary tale. He was going to be a reckoning. The road stretched ahead into darkness. His phone buzzed one more time. Text from Ben Thomas Harding had offshore account. $2. $3 million deposited over 2 years from shell company, owned by guess who? Jack didn't need to guess. Marcus Hayes' research partner had been on Vane's payroll the whole time, which meant everything Marcus had told Harding about his discoveries had gone straight to the people who wanted him dead. Jack pressed the accelerator. Pier 47 was 30 minutes away. In 31 minutes, someone was going to answer for what happened to Marcus Hayes. And if that someone thought Jack Carter was just another problem that could be solved with money or threats or violence, they were about to learn different. The war was on. And Jack had spent 8 years learning how to win wars. He just hoped he remembered how to win one without losing himself in the process. Behind him, hidden in shadows, another vehicle pulled onto the highway. Following at a distance. Headlights off. Professional surveillance. Jack saw them immediately. Let them follow. Because if Vane's people thought they were hunting him, they had it exactly backward. The hunter had become the hunted. But sometimes the best way to catch a hunter was to let them think they'd found prey. Jack's hand rested on the Glock in his lap. Kodiak's head came up, sensing his handler's readiness. "Easy, boy," Jack murmured. "Not yet, but soon. Very soon." Pier 47 sat at the edge of Seattle's industrial waterfront, where legitimate shipping operations ended and questions began. Jack arrived 20 minutes early. Standard protocol: never walk into a meeting at the appointed time. Get there first. Control the space. Identify exits and threats and angles of attack. He parked 3 blocks away and approached on foot with Kodiak at his heel. The pier was dark, except for a few security lights that did more to create shadows than eliminate them. Shipping containers stacked like metal mountains. Cranes silhouetted against the night sky. Water lapping against concrete pilings. Perfect place for an ambush. Jack's earpiece crackled. "I've got eyes on you," Ben's voice said. 2 vehicles parked on the north side, 4 heat signatures inside the nearest warehouse, 1 on the roof with what looks like a rifle. "Copy that." "This is a bad idea, brother." "Most of my ideas are." "Fair point. I'm in position. You get in trouble. I'll light them up." Jack clicked twice acknowledgement without speaking. He walked toward the main warehouse, Kodiak scanning ahead, every sense alert. A figure stepped from the shadows. Not Vane. Too young. Maybe 35. Expensive suit that somehow looked cheap on him. The kind of guy who thought money made him dangerous, but had never actually been in danger. "Mr. Carter, thank you for coming." "Where's Vane?" "Mr. Vane doesn't attend these types of meetings personally. I'm his attorney, Richard Paxton." The man smiled. "I'm authorized to make you an offer." "I'm not interested in offers. You haven't heard it yet." Paxton pulled out a briefcase, opened it. Inside stacks of cash. $500,000, unmarked bills. All you have to do is convince Mrs. Hayes to sign the property over and disappear. Take your girlfriend and her kids somewhere far away. Mexico, Canada, somewhere Mr. Vane's interests don't reach. Jack looked at the money, looked at Paxton. "You think I'm here for cash? Everyone's here for something, Mr. Carter. You're a veteran on disability living in a rental cottage working odd jobs. 500,000 could change your life." "My life changed the moment I watched 3 of Vane's thugs try to beat a woman to death in front of her daughter." "An unfortunate incident. Those men have been dealt with." "Dealt with how?" Paxton's smile didn't waver. "That's not your concern. What is your concern is that you're involving yourself in matters beyond your understanding. Business matters. Legal matters. Matters that could be resolved peacefully if you'd simply tell me about Operation Alistair." The smile disappeared, just for a second. But Jack saw it. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Military waste disposal. Aegis Solutions. Billions of dollars in illegal dumping contracts. Marcus Hayes discovered it, and you killed him for it. Paxton's hand moved toward his jacket. Jack's gun was out before the movement finished. Don't. I'm just getting my phone. Don't. Paxton froze. Around them, shapes moved in the darkness. The 4 people from the warehouse, the sniper on the roof, all converging. Jack's earpiece crackled. I count 6, Ben said. Want me to take the shot? Jack clicked once negative. He kept his gun on Paxton. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to call Vane. You're going to tell him I have copies of Marcus Hayes' research, video evidence, water samples, all of it backed up and distributed to people Vane can't reach. And if anything happens to me, to Alara Hayes, to her daughter, or to anyone connected to this case, all of it goes public. You're bluffing. Try me. They stood there, gun pointed, men closing in, waves hitting concrete. Then Paxton laughed. You really don't understand who you're dealing with, do you? Silas Vane is a mid-level facilitator, a useful contractor. If he disappeared tomorrow, 10 others would take his place. He took a step closer, ignoring the gun. The people behind Operation Alistair have been operating since the Cold War. They've toppled governments, made witnesses disappear, buried evidence so deep it might as well never existed. What makes you think one Navy SEAL and a widow with a flash drive can stop them? Because people like you always make the same mistake. What mistake is that? You think everyone can be bought or threatened into silence. Jack's voice was cold. But some people care about things more than money or safety. Like justice. Like making sure a little girl doesn't grow up thinking her father died for nothing. How touching. Paxton pulled out his phone. But ultimately irrelevant. He made a call, put it on speaker. The voice that answered wasn't vain. It was calm, professional, utterly devoid of emotion. Mr. Carter, my name is Alistair. Jack's blood went cold. The operation is named after you. The operation is named after what I do. I clean up problems, remove obstacles, ensure continuity of essential programs. A pause. You've become a problem, Mr. Carter. You and Mrs. Hayes and her unfortunately curious late husband. Where's Vane? Mr. Vane is currently indisposed. He made too much noise, drew too much attention, failed to resolve a simple property acquisition with appropriate discretion. Another pause. I don't make the same mistakes, which is why I'm offering you one chance to walk away. Take Mr. Paxton's money, disappear, or stay, and discover that there are things worse than death for soldiers who don't follow orders. I don't take orders from people who hide behind phones. No. You take orders from your conscience, from your sense of duty, from your misguided belief that one man can make a difference against systemic corruption. Alistair's voice hardened. Let me tell you what's going to happen, Mr. Carter. In approximately 90 seconds, Seattle police will receive an anonymous tip about a terrorist threat at Pier 47. They'll respond in force. And when they arrive, they'll find you a disturbed veteran with PTSD holding a weapon and making threats against a respected attorney. You'll be arrested, discredited. And while you sit in jail fighting charges, Mrs. Hayes will have a tragic accident. Her daughter will go into foster care, and every piece of evidence you think you have will vanish like it never existed. Jack heard sirens in the distance, getting closer. 60 seconds, Alistair said. Paxton backed away, smiling again. You should run, Mr. Carter, but I don't think you'll make it. Jack's mind raced. He could shoot Paxton, but that would only prove Alistair's story. Violent veteran attacks, innocent attorney. He could run, but the sniper had him in sight, and fleeing would look like guilt. He could surrender, but that meant leaving Alara and Lily unprotected. The sirens grew louder. 40 seconds. Ben's voice in his ear. Brother, you need to move, now. Jack looked at Kodiak. The dog stared back, waiting for commands, trusting completely. Sometimes the only way out of a trap is to trigger it yourself. Kodiak weapon. The dog lunged at Paxton, not attacking, grabbing the briefcase. Paxton stumbled backward, yelling. Jack ran, not away from the pier toward the water. "He's running," Paxton shouted. "Stop him!" Gunfire cracked through the night. Jack felt concrete explode near his feet. Kept running. Reached the edge of the pier. Didn't hesitate. Jumped. Cold water hit like a physical blow. Knocked the breath from his lungs. Darkness everywhere. Jack dove deep, swimming hard, letting the current pull him away from Pier 47. Kodiak hit the water beside him. The dog was a strong swimmer. They'd trained for water insertions 100 times. Behind them, more gunfire. But shooting into water at night is nearly impossible. The bullets lost energy instantly. Jack surfaced once for air. Dove again. Swam for 3 minutes before his lungs burned too much to continue. He surfaced in darkness beneath another pier, Kodiak paddling beside him, both of them gasping. Ben's voice. "Can you hear me?" Jack responded. "I'm here." Jack managed between breaths. "I'm alive." "Thank Christ. What the hell was that?" "The trap within the trap. Alistair knew I'd come. Set up the police response before we even got here." "Where are you?" "North Pier, maybe quarter-mile from our position." "Stay there. I'm coming to you." Jack hauled himself onto a concrete platform. Pulled Kodiak up beside him. Both of them dripping, shaking from cold and adrenaline. Police lights flashed at Pier 47, voices shouting, dogs barking. They were searching for him, and they'd find him if he stayed here. Jack's phone, the burner, was waterlogged. Dead. But the waterproof pouch at his belt had survived. Inside a backup phone and the USB drive with Marcus Hayes' research. He powered up the backup, called Ben's number. "Where are you?" 2 minutes out. There's a loading dock at the north end. Can you make it?" "Yeah." Jack ran along the waterfront, staying in shadows, avoiding security lights. Kodiak kept pace, silent and invisible in the darkness. Behind them, police were setting up a perimeter. Helicopter overhead now. Searchlight scanning the water. Ben's rental car appeared at the loading dock. Jack and Kodiak dove into the back seat. "Go." Ben didn't need to be told twice. The car peeled out, taking back roads, avoiding main arteries, driving like someone who'd spent years evading surveillance. "What happened?" Ben asked. Jack told him. All of it. The money. Paxton. The phone call from Alistair. The police setup. "So we're not just fighting Vane anymore," Ben said quietly. "We're fighting whoever's running Operation Alistair. Someone with connections to law enforcement. Someone who can weaponize the system against us." "Yeah. We need to get back to Alara. If they're coming after you, they'll come after her next." Jack was already thinking the same thing. His backup phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him. "Hello?" Jack Carter. A woman's voice. Unfamiliar. "This is Sheriff Eva Rostova from Oak Haven. Detective Klein gave me your number. We need to talk. Now." "About what?" "About the body we just found in Silas Vane's hotel room with 3 bullets in his chest and your fingerprints all over the murder weapon." Jack's world stopped. "That's impossible. I've never been to Vane's hotel." "The evidence says otherwise. And there's a warrant out for your arrest. Murder 1. Rostova's voice was hard. "Where are you?" Jack hung up, looked at Ben. "They're not just discrediting me. They're framing me for murder. Vane's dead. Apparently. And somehow my fingerprints are on the murder weapon. That's not possible unless..." Ben's eyes widened. "The glasses. At the research station. When we searched the unconscious attackers, you picked up evidence. They collected your prints then. And planted them at a murder scene." Jack felt sick. This is Alistair. Cleaning up loose ends. Vane knew too much, made too much noise, so Alistair eliminated him and framed me in one move. "So now you're wanted for murder. Every cop in the state is looking for you, and we can't go to the police because they think you're a killer." That about sums it up. They drove in silence for 5 minutes. Then Ben said, "We need to disappear, completely. Take Alara and Lily and get them out of the country. Canada, Mexico, somewhere Alistair can't reach. Running doesn't stop this. They'll just keep operating, keep dumping, keep killing anyone who gets close to the truth. So, what do you want to do? Jack thought about Marcus Hayes, who'd tried to expose the truth and died for it. Thought about Alara, who'd spent 2 years being told she was paranoid when she was right all along. Thought about Lily, who deserved to grow up in a world where bad people actually faced consequences. I want to finish what Marcus started, Jack said. I want to expose Operation Alistair so thoroughly that they can't bury it. Make it so public, so undeniable that even their connections can't save them. How? The samples. If Dr. Chen can prove they're dumping weapons-grade material, that's hard evidence. Combine that with Marcus's videos, the financial records, everything we've collected. It's still just data. Alistair will claim it's fake, manipulated, without someone on the inside willing to testify. Then we get someone on the inside. Jack pulled out his phone. You said Thomas Harding took payoffs from Vane. That means he knows where the bodies are buried. Literally. He's also the guy who betrayed Marcus, who got him killed. Which means he's vulnerable. He's carrying guilt. And guilt makes people talk. Ben considered this. It's risky. If Harding warns Alistair, we don't give him the chance to warn anyone. We grab him, tonight, before Alistair realizes we're still moving. Grab a civilian brother that's kidnapping. Is it kidnapping if we're stopping him from being an accessory to murder and environmental terrorism? Jack's voice was cold. Thomas Harding helped kill Marcus Hayes. He doesn't get to walk away clean. Ben was quiet for a moment. Then he grinned. You know what, I always liked the direct approach. They made a call to the safe house on Ben's secure line. Alara answered immediately. Jack, are you okay? I heard sirens. We're fine, but things just got complicated. He explained quickly Vane's murder, the frame job, the warrant. Silence on the other end. Then, so they killed Vane, the man who ordered the attack on my house. The man who probably ordered Marcus's murder. Looks that way? Good. Her voice was hard. He deserved worse, but this Alistair, he's the real threat. Yeah. What do we do? We're going to have a conversation with Thomas Harding, find out what he knows, get him to testify. Another pause. Jack, be careful. If Marcus trusted Harding enough to tell him about the dumping and Harding betrayed him, her voice cracked slightly. Just be careful. Always am. Still a lie. But thank you anyway. Jack hung up. Ben had already pulled up Harding's address on his laptop. He lives in Fremont. Apartment building. Secure entry. Can you bypass it? Does rain fall down? Ben's fingers flew across the keyboard. I'm pulling building schematics now. There's a garage entrance with card reader. I can clone a resident card and we'll be in within 60 seconds. Then let's move. They arrived at Harding's building at 2 a.m. Quiet. Most residents asleep. Perfect time for a visit. Ben cloned the card reader. The garage door opened smoothly. They took the stairs to the 4th floor, apartment 4C. Jack knocked. No answer. Knocked harder. Dr. Harding, I know you're in there. We need to talk about Marcus Hayes. Still nothing. Jack tested the door. Unlocked. That was wrong. Nobody leaves their door unlocked in the city at 2 a.m. Jack drew his weapon, pushed the door open slowly. The apartment was dark. Cold. Something smelled wrong. Jack flipped the light switch. Thomas Harding sat in a chair facing the door. Very still. Very dead. Single gunshot to the head. Professional. Close range. Execution style. On the table in front of him, a typed suicide note. I can't live with what I've done. I betrayed Marcus, got him killed. The guilt is too much. I'm sorry. Ben read it over Jack's shoulder. This is staged. Nobody types a suicide note. Jack looked around the apartment. Everything was too clean, too orderly. like someone had sanitized it before leaving. On the floor beside Harding's chair, a shell casing. Jack photographed it without touching anything. "We need to leave," Ben said. "Now, if this is Alistair's work, he knew we'd come here. That's why Harding's dead. Alistair is staying 2 steps ahead, eliminating every potential witness before we can reach them." So what now? Everyone who could testify is dead. Vane, Harding, Marcus. We've got evidence, but no living witnesses. Jack stared at Harding's body. Another victim. Another person who'd gotten involved with Operation Alistair and paid the price. How many others? His phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. "You're running out of allies, Mr. Carter, and running out of time. Surrender yourself by dawn or Mrs. Hayes dies. You have my word, I'll make it quick. Alistair. Still playing games. Still 2 steps ahead." Jack showed Ben the message. "It's a bluff," Ben said. "He doesn't know where the safe house is." "Doesn't matter. He'll find it eventually. He found us at Pier 47, found Harding before we did. He's got resources we can't match." "So we're just supposed to give up?" "No." Jack's mind was racing. "We're supposed to change the game. Stop reacting. Start acting." "What are you thinking?" "Alistair wants me to surrender by dawn. Wants me to come in quietly so he can make me disappear like he made Vane and Harding disappear." Jack looked at his watch. 3 hours until dawn. That's 3 hours to do something he doesn't expect. Like what? Like go public. Right now. Release everything we have to every news outlet, every federal agency, every watchdog organization we can reach. Flood the zone with information. Make it too big to bury. That's a massive risk. If the evidence isn't airtight, it's better than waiting for Dr. Chen's analysis while Alistair picks us off one by one. Ben thought about it, then nodded. "Okay, let's burn it all down." They left Harding's apartment, drove to a 24-hour coffee shop with public Wi-Fi, set up in the back corner with Ben's laptop, and started uploading. Marcus Hayes' videos went to the New York Times, Washington Post, Seattle Times. Financial records showing the shell companies went to the IRS and SEC. Coordinates of dump sites went to the EPA and Coast Guard. Everything, all of it, simultaneous release to dozens of recipients. "They can't stop all of these," Ben muttered, typing furiously. "Even if Alistair has contacts in government, he can't stop the media, federal agencies, and public watchdogs all at once." Jack watched the upload bars crawling across the screen. 60%, 70, 80. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. "You just made a very serious mistake, Mr. Carter." Alistair's voice was no longer calm. There was anger in it now. "I gave you a chance to walk away, a chance to save Mrs. Hayes and her daughter. You've wasted that chance." "I'm done making deals with terrorists." "Terrorists," Alistair laughed. "You have no idea what I am, what I represent, the things I've done to keep this country safe. Safe, you're poisoning the ocean for profit. I'm disposing of materials that would otherwise fall into enemy hands, materials that could be used to build dirty bombs, chemical weapons, nuclear devices. Operation Alistair isn't about profit, it's about national security. And sometimes protecting the nation requires doing things that can't be done officially." "That's bullshit and you know it." "Is it? Where do you think the chemical weapons we confiscated in Syria went? The experimental bioweapons from North Korea? The radioactive materials from Iranian nuclear sites?" Alistair's voice was cold. "They can't be stored on American soil, that's illegal. They can't be destroyed through official channels that takes years of paperwork and congressional oversight. So they get handed to people like me who do the necessary work in the dark so people like you can sleep soundly at night. And you make billions of dollars in the process. Compensation for taking risks no one else will take. For doing work no one else will do. For being the monster so America doesn't have to be." The upload bar hit 95%. "Your uploads won't change anything," Alistair said. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've weathered investigations, congressional hearings, whistleblowers. This will be the same. A brief scandal. Some low-level employees fired. Operations paused for a few months, then everything continues exactly as before. Not this time. Why? Because you're special. Because you're a hero. Alistair laughed again. You're just another soldier who doesn't understand that war never ends. It just changes theaters. I'm fighting the war that never makes the news. The war that keeps weapons of mass destruction out of terrorist hands. And if Marcus Hayes was collateral damage in that war, he was a father, a husband, a scientist trying to protect the ocean. He was a liability, just like you. 100%. Upload complete. It's done, Jack said. Everything Marcus found, everything we've discovered. It's public now. Sent to journalists, federal agencies, watchdogs. By morning, Operation Alistair will be front-page news. Silence on the other end. Then, "You've just signed Mrs. Hayes's death warrant." The line went dead. Jack looked at Ben. "We need to get back to the safe house, now." They ran to the car. Ben drove like a demon, pushing the rental car to speeds it wasn't designed for, taking corners that made tires scream. Jack tried calling the safe house. No answer. Tried again. Still nothing. "Drive faster." "I'm going as fast as I—" Ben's phone rang. He answered on speaker. "This is Sheriff Rostova. Is this Ben Riley?" "Yeah." "Why?" "Because we just found Jack Carter's truck abandoned on Highway 9 with blood in the front seat and signs of a struggle. And I'm looking at footage from a traffic camera that shows two people matching the description of Alara Hayes and her daughter being forced into a van at gunpoint 15 minutes ago." Jack felt his heart stop. "We're 5 miles from your current location. Black van, no plates, heading north toward the Canadian border." Rostova's voice was urgent. "Mr. Carter, I don't know what the hell is going on, but I know you didn't kill Silas Vane. Detective Klein pulled security footage from his hotel. Shows a man in tactical gear entering Vane's room. Different build than you. Professional hit." "That's Alistair." "Who?" "Later, you said north toward Canada." "Yeah, they're moving fast. We've got units trying to intercept, but—" Jack hung up. Looked at Ben. "How fast can this thing go?" Ben grinned, pressed the accelerator to the floor. "Let's find out." The rental car surged forward into the darkness. Behind them, Seattle's lights disappeared. Ahead, somewhere in the night, Alara and Lily were running out of time, and Jack Carter was running out of patience. Alistair wanted a war. He was about to get one. The speedometer hit 90 and kept climbing. Ben's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, eyes locked on the highway, cutting through darkness like a knife through black fabric. Jack had his laptop open, tracking the police scanner, listening to units coordinate the search for the black van. Units 47 and 52, suspect vehicle last seen northbound on Route 9 approaching junction with Route 20. "That's 10 miles ahead," Ben said. "We can cut them off if we—" His phone lit up. Incoming call from Sheriff Rostova. Jack answered on speaker. "We lost them," Rostova said. No preamble, no softening the blow. "Van turned onto a logging road. Our units can't follow without backup. Too many ambush points." "What's on that logging road?" "Old lumber operation. Abandoned since the 90s. 50 buildings, maybe more. They could be anywhere." Jack pulled up satellite imagery on the laptop. The logging camp spread across 3 square miles of dense forest. Rotting barracks, collapsed equipment sheds, a main lodge at the center that looked like it might survive another winter or might not. Perfect place to hide hostages. Perfect place for a last stand. "Send me the coordinates," Jack said. "Mr. Carter, you need to wait for backup. We're organizing a tactical team, but it'll take an hour." "They don't have an hour. If you go in there alone, you'll get yourself killed and those hostages with you." "I'm not going in alone." Jack looked at Ben, who nodded. And I'm not waiting an hour for Alistair to execute them and disappear. He hung up. Ben took the next exit, doing 70 tires, screaming protest, the rental car barely holding the road. You know this is suicide, Ben said conversationally. Probably. We don't know how many people Alistair has. Could be 5, could be 50. Yep. We don't have body armor, limited ammunition, no backup. Uh-huh. And we're driving into an ambush at an abandoned logging camp in the middle of nowhere, with 0 reconnaissance and 0 tactical advantage. That about sums it up. Ben grinned. Just like old times. They drove in silence for 5 minutes. Then Jack's phone buzzed. Text message from unknown number, but Jack knew who it was. You're too late, Mr. Carter. Mrs. Hayes and her daughter are already dead. Turn around. Go home. Mourn them. Move on. Or join them. Your choice. Jack showed Ben. He's lying, Ben said immediately. If they were dead, he wouldn't tell you. He'd just disappear and we'd find bodies in a week. Unless he wants me to come, wants to finish this face to face. That's also possible. Jack typed back, prove they're alive. 30 seconds later, a video arrived. Alara and Lily sitting in what looked like an old office. Hands zip-tied. Both scared but unharmed. A voice off camera, Alistair's voice. You have 1 hour, Mr. Carter. Come alone or they die. Bring your friend or they die. Contact police or they die. Are we clear? Alara looked directly at the camera. Jack, don't come. It's a trap. He's going to kill us anyway. The video cut off. Jack's jaw tightened. She's right, Ben said. It's absolutely a trap. I know. So we spring it on our terms, not his. Exactly what I was thinking. They pulled off the highway onto the logging road. Gravel crunching under tires, trees closing in on both sides, headlights cutting through darkness that seemed to swallow light and give nothing back. Ben killed the headlights, drove by moonlight and memory. 2 miles up the road they stopped. Jack got out, released Kodiak from the back seat. The dog stretched, shook himself, then went perfectly still, waiting for orders. Okay, brother, Ben said quietly, pulling weapons from a hidden compartment in the trunk. How do you want to play this? Jack studied the satellite imagery again. Main lodge is here. That's where he'll have them. But he'll have sentries in these outer buildings. Probably 4 or 5 guys with night vision and rifles covering approaches from all directions. So we can't go in the front door. No, but we don't need to. Jack pointed to the image. This drainage culvert runs from the tree line directly under the lodge. Probably used it for sewage back in the day. If it's still intact, we can insert directly into the basement without being seen. Exactly. And if the culvert's collapsed, then we get shot trying to crawl through it. Ben checked his rifle, loaded a magazine, chambered a round. You know what I love about your plans. The optimism. They moved into the forest. Silent. Invisible. 2 ghosts with decades of training between them. Kodiak ranged ahead using senses humans didn't have, alerting to threats before they became problems. Twice the dog stopped, ears forward, body tense. Twice Jack and Ben froze, waiting. Both times, sentries passed within 50 feet without ever knowing they'd been made. The drainage culvert was exactly where the satellite showed it. Concrete pipe maybe 4 feet in diameter, half filled with stagnant water, and things Jack didn't want to think about. After you, Ben whispered. How generous. Jack crawled in. The smell hit immediately, decades of rot and rust and animal decay. Water soaked through his clothes. Something slithered past his hand in the darkness. He kept moving. Behind him, Ben followed, and behind Ben, Kodiak swam through the filth without complaint. 50 feet, 100. The pipe seemed endless. Then Jack saw light ahead. Faint, flickering. He crawled faster. The pipe opened into a basement space. Old boiler room filled with rusted equipment and memories of when this place was alive. Jack climbed out, listened. Footsteps above. Voices. At least 3 people on the ground floor. Ben emerged from the pipe water streaming off him. "We stink," he observed. "Yeah. Won't help with stealth." "Nope." They moved to the basement stairs. Jack went first each step, tested before weight, each breath controlled, every sense focused on the space above. The door at the top was ajar. Through the gap, Jack could see into what used to be the main hall. Empty now, except for 3 men with rifles. Professional stance. Military bearing. Ex-special forces if Jack had to guess. These weren't Vane's thugs. These were Alistair's people. Real operators. Ben tapped Jack's shoulder. Pointed to a second door on the far side of the hall. Light coming from underneath. That's where they'd be. That's where Alistair was holding Alara and Lily. Jack hand-signaled 3 tangos. "Take them quiet." Ben nodded. They moved as one, out of the basement, into the hall. The first guard died without a sound, Ben's knife finding the gap between spine and skull with surgical precision. The second turned at the wrong moment and saw them coming. His mouth opened to shout. Jack's hand covered it. His knife finished the conversation. The third guard was smarter, dove for cover, got his rifle up, got one shot off loud in the enclosed space, echoing like thunder. Then Kodiak hit him from the side, 75 pounds of trained violence taking him down hard. The rifle clattered away. Jack was on him in 2 seconds. "How many?" Jack's voice was ice. The guard just smiled, blood on his teeth. "You're too late. He's already." Jack knocked him unconscious. Didn't have time for speeches. The gunshot had alerted everyone. Shouts from other buildings. Running footsteps. "We've got maybe 30 seconds, Ben said, reloading. Jack moved to the door with light underneath, tested the handle, locked, stepped back, kicked it open. The room beyond was bigger than expected. Old manager's office converted into something else. Alara and Lily sat in the corner, still zip-tied, eyes wide with fear and hope and terror, all mixed together. But they were alone. No Alistair. No guards. Just a laptop on the desk screen glowing, showing a video feed. Jack approached carefully. The laptop screen flickered. Alistair's face appeared. "Hello, Mr. Carter. I see you found my hospitality lacking. Where are you?" "Somewhere you'll never find me. Somewhere I've been since the beginning." Alistair smiled. "Did you really think I'd be stupid enough to personally oversee this operation? I'm not Silas Vane. I don't make appearances. I don't take unnecessary risks." Jack wanted to put his fist through the screen. "Let them go." "I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, when you uploaded Marcus Hayes's research tonight, you created a problem. A public relations problem, a legal problem, an operational problem." Alistair's smile faded. "Problems require solutions, and Mrs. Hayes and her daughter are part of the solution. They're witnesses. You kill them, it only makes things worse. Will it, or will their tragic deaths, murdered by a disturbed veteran who couldn't cope with civilian life, be the perfect ending to this story?" Former SEAL Jack Carter, suffering from PTSD, becomes obsessed with his neighbor. When she rejects his advances, he snaps, kills her and her daughter, then disappears into the wilderness, a cautionary tale about the costs of war. Jack felt cold rage building. "No one will believe that." "Everyone will believe it, because I'll make sure they do. The evidence is already being planted. Your fingerprints at their home, disturbing messages on a phone registered to your name. A manifesto I've written in your voice explaining how the government betrayed you, how the world owes you something, how if you can't have Mrs. Hayes, no one can." "You're insane." "I'm thorough." Alistair leaned closer to his camera. "Your uploads tonight will be dismissed as the ravings of a paranoid conspiracy theorist. Marcus Hayes's research will be discredited as fabricated evidence in a revenge plot. Operation Alistair will continue exactly as before, and you'll be remembered as a mentally ill veteran who murdered a widow and child before being killed by law enforcement. Behind Jack, Ben was cutting Alara and Lily's zip ties. "We need to move," Ben whispered. "I'm hearing vehicles outside. Multiple." Alistair heard him. "Yes, Mr. Riley. You should move, because in approximately 90 seconds the building you're in will be leveled by an airstrike. I have a Predator drone overhead right now carrying 2 Hellfire missiles. Official story will be that we were targeting a terrorist cell hiding in the abandoned camp. Collateral damage happens. Tragic but necessary." The laptop screen split, half showing Alistair's face, half showing thermal imaging from above 4 heat signatures in the building, surrounded by dozens of other signatures converging from outside. "You're bluffing," Jack said. "You can't authorize an airstrike on American soil." "Can't I? Operation Alistair has been authorized at the highest levels of government for 20 years. I have kill orders. I have operational discretion. I have everything I need to eliminate threats to national security." Alistair's smile returned. "And you, Mr. Carter, are now a threat." The thermal image showed something else. A targeting reticle locking onto the building. 60 seconds until impact. "Jack." Alara's voice was shaking. "I know." Jack grabbed Lily, lifted her into his arms. "Ben, we go out the back. Now." They ran. Through the office, into the hall, toward the rear exit. Outside voices shouting orders. Flashlights cutting through darkness. At least 20 men forming a perimeter. "We're boxed in," Ben said. Jack looked at the thermal feed still visible on his phone. He'd grabbed the laptop as they ran. 40 seconds. The targeting reticle was locked, solid, unwavering. "The culvert," Jack said. "Back the way we came." They reversed course, ran for the basement, hit the stairs at full speed. Behind them, the building's front door exploded inward. Men with rifles pouring through. "Stop, don't move!" Jack didn't stop, reached the boiler room. The culvert entrance. 20 seconds. "Go!" Jack shoved Ben toward the pipe. "Get them out." Ben grabbed Alara, pushed her into the culvert. Lily next. Then Ben. Jack and Kodiak brought up the rear. 10 seconds. Jack was crawling through filth and darkness and water. Lily's small body ahead of him when the world turned into fire and sound and pressure. The Hellfire missile hit the lodge dead center. 2,000 pounds of building material became shrapnel. The shockwave hit the culvert like a freight train. Jack felt the pipe buckling. Concrete cracking, water surging. "Move!" he screamed. "Move!" They crawled faster, 50 feet, 100. Behind them, the culvert was collapsing section by section, water and debris filling the space where they'd been seconds before. Jack's lungs burned. His arms were screaming. Lily was crying small sounds of terror that broke his heart. "Almost there, sweetheart," he gasped. Almost. They exploded out of the culvert into the forest. All 5 of them. Jack, Ben, Alara, Lily, Kodiak, collapsing on muddy ground, gasping for air, covered in filth and blood and survival. Behind them, the lodge was gone. Just fire and smoke and the sounds of men shouting in confusion. Jack forced himself to sit up. Checked Lily first. Scared but unhurt. Checked Alara. Same. Checked Ben. His friend had taken shrapnel to the shoulder. Blood seeping through his shirt. "I'm fine," Ben said through gritted teeth. "Just a scratch." "That's not a scratch. I've had worse." True, they both had. Jack's phone, somehow still functional, buzzed. Text from Alistair, impressive, but ultimately futile. "You're still fugitives, still wanted for murder, still completely alone. Where will you run now, Mr. Carter?" Jack didn't respond, just helped everyone to their feet. They stumbled through the forest, putting distance between themselves and the burning wreckage, moving by instinct and desperation. After 20 minutes, they reached Ben's rental car. Shot to pieces, tires slashed, windows shattered, engine block riddled with bullet holes. "Well," Ben said, "that's inconvenient." Jack was already scanning the area. Through the trees, he could see the logging road. And on the logging road, parked at an angle, was a black SUV, one of Alistair's vehicles. Keys probably still in it. "Wait here," Jack said. "Like hell," Alara said. Her voice was steady now. The fear had burned away, leaving something harder behind. "We're not splitting up again." Jack looked at her, saw the same look he'd seen in the eyes of soldiers who'd been through hell and come out the other side changed. She wasn't the scared widow anymore. She was something else now. Something dangerous. "Okay," he said. "Together." They moved through the forest as a unit. Jack on point. Ben bringing up the rear despite his wound. Alara carrying Lily. Kodiak ranging ahead. The SUV was unguarded. Alistair's men were all focused on the burning lodge, trying to figure out how their targets had survived. Jack reached the vehicle, checked inside, keys in the ignition. Gift from God or trap from Alistair. Didn't matter. They needed transportation. "Everyone in." He started the engine. Nothing exploded. Good sign. Jack threw the SUV into gear and punched the accelerator. They roared down the logging road, away from the fire, away from Alistair's men, away from everything. "Where are we going?" Alara asked. Good question. They couldn't go to the police. Jack was wanted for murder. They couldn't go to the safe house. Alistair knew about it now. They couldn't run forever. Eventually, they'd run out of places to hide and people to trust. Jack's phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't Alistair. It was a number he recognized. Dr. Sarah Chen. He answered. "Jack." "Oh, thank God. I've been trying to reach you for hours." "What's wrong?" "What's wrong is that the samples you sent me, the water samples from Oak Haven Cove, they're not just contaminated. They're poisoned. We're talking weapons-grade plutonium, nerve agents, chemical compounds I've never seen outside classified weapons labs." Her voice was urgent. "Jack, whatever's being dumped in that cove could kill thousands of people if it spreads. This isn't just environmental crime. This is terrorism." Jack felt something click into place. "Can you prove it?" "I've already run every test, triple-checked results. I'm staking my career on this data." She paused. "I'm sending my findings to the EPA, FBI, and DOD right now. This is too big to bury. Even if someone wanted to cover it up, the science doesn't lie." "Dr. Chen, you need to be careful. The people behind this—" "I know. I saw your uploads. Marcus Hayes's research. It's all connected, isn't it? The dumping operation, the murders, all of it." "Yeah." "Then I need to get this out before they stop me." Her voice hardened. "Marcus was my friend. We published together. He called me 2 weeks before he died, said he'd found something terrible. I didn't believe him, thought he was being paranoid. I should have listened. You're listening now. That's what matters. Where are you? Running. Being hunted. By who? Someone who calls himself Alistair. He runs the dumping operation, has connections everywhere, law enforcement, military, intelligence community." Silence on the other end. Then, "Jack, there was someone else on Marcus's research team. Someone he trusted. Someone who might know more about Alistair and how deep this goes." "Who?" "Her name is Rebecca Marsh. She's a forensic accountant with the GAO Government Accountability Office. Marcus brought her in 6 months before he died to trace money flows. If anyone can prove the financial conspiracy behind Operation Alistair, it's her." Jack felt hope flickering. "Where is she?" "Witness protection. After Marcus died, she went underground. But I have a way to contact her. Give me 10 minutes. The line went dead. Jack looked at the others. "We might have a witness, someone who can prove the money trail." "That's great," Ben said. "Then, why don't you look happy?" "Because every time we get close to someone who can help, Alistair gets there first. Vane. Harding. How long before he finds Rebecca Marsh?" His phone rang again. Sheriff Rostova. "Mr. Carter, where are you?" "Can't tell you that." "Fair enough. But you need to know the FBI just took over the investigation. They're looking at the evidence you uploaded. The videos, the financial records, everything. And they're taking it seriously. How seriously? Seriously enough that they've already issued warrants for 3 Aegis Solutions executives. Seriously enough that they've frozen all Apex Holdings accounts. Seriously enough that they want you to come in not as a suspect, but as a witness. Jack wanted to believe her, but trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. What about the murder charge? Dropped. Video evidence cleared you. But Jack, you need to come in. Let us protect you. Let us protect Mrs. Hayes and her daughter. The last time I trusted law enforcement, I walked into an ambush at Pier 47. That was Alistair manipulating the system. This is different. This is federal. This is... Gunfire erupted behind them. 2 black SUVs had appeared on the road, chasing them, rifles firing from open windows. "We've got company," Ben shouted. Jack threw the SUV into a hard turn, taking a side road, trees whipping past on both sides. "Sheriff, I have to go." "Jack, wait." He hung up, focused on driving. The 2 SUVs stayed with them, gaining ground, more gunfire ripping through the night. Alara shielded Lily with her body. Ben leaned out the window, returning fire with his rifle. 3 shots. 4. One of the pursuing SUV's windshields shattered. The vehicle swerved, hit a tree, stopped moving. But the second SUV kept coming. Faster now. Closer. Jack could see the driver, hard face, cold eyes, professional determination. The driver pulled alongside. Passenger window rolled down. Man with rifle taking aim. Jack hit the brakes. Hard. The pursuing SUV shot past them. Jack whipped the wheel left, rammed them from behind. The pursuing SUV lost control, spun, crashed into a ditch. Jack didn't slow down, kept driving. 5 minutes later, they reached the highway. Jack turned south, away from Canada, away from escape. "Where are we going?" Alara asked again. "Seattle," Jack said. "We're going to find Rebecca Marsh. We're going to get her testimony. And we're going to end this." "Jack," Ben said quietly, "I'm not sure I can keep going much longer." Jack glanced at his friend. Ben's shoulder was bleeding worse now. His face was pale. He needed medical attention. Soon. 10 more miles, Jack said. "There's a clinic I know, off the grid. They'll patch you up. And then we finish what Marcus started." Jack's phone buzzed. Text from Dr. Chen. "I have contact info for Rebecca Marsh. Sending now. But Jack, be careful. She's scared. Says people have been watching her safe house. Says she doesn't know who to trust." Another text arrived. Just a phone number. Jack memorized it, then destroyed the phone, crushed it under his boot. They couldn't risk being tracked anymore. In the back seat, Lily had finally fallen asleep, exhausted from terror and adrenaline, and being 7 years old in a world that made no sense. Alara stroked her daughter's hair. "Is this ever going to end?" she whispered. Jack looked at her in the rearview mirror. "Yeah," he said. "One way or another, it ends tomorrow." He didn't say what he was thinking. That Alistair had made this personal. That when you make things personal with a Navy SEAL, you'd better be ready for war. That tomorrow someone was going to die. The only question was who. The highway stretched ahead into darkness. Behind them, sirens wailed in the distance. But Jack wasn't running anymore. He was hunting. And the hunter had just become the hunted's worst nightmare. The clinic was a converted warehouse in South Seattle, the kind of place that didn't ask questions and didn't keep records. Jack had used it twice during his transition out of the Navy, once for a knee that wouldn't stop swelling, once for nightmares that wouldn't stop coming. Dr. Marcus Webb ran it alone, a former Army surgeon who'd seen too much war and decided the best way to fight it was to patch up the people it broke. He opened the door at 3 a.m. without complaint. Took one look at Ben's shoulder and said, "Shrapnel. Hellfire missile technically." Webb didn't even blink. "Exam room 2, shirt off. This is going to hurt." While Webb worked on Ben, Jack made a call from the clinic's landline, untraceable, no GPS. The kind of phone that still existed in places where people valued privacy over convenience. He dialed the number Dr. Chen had sent. Rebecca Marsh answered on the first ring. "Who is this?" Her voice was tight, scared. "My name is Jack Carter. Dr. Sarah Chen gave me your number. I need to talk to you about Marcus Hayes." Silence. Then, "Marcus is dead." "I know. I'm trying to make sure his death meant something. I'm trying to stop the people who killed him." "You can't stop them. Nobody can. I've been trying for 2 years, and all I've done is watch people die." "Then help me. Help me end this." "How did you get this number?" "Dr. Chen. She's analyzing water samples from Oak Haven Cove. She says the contamination is worse than anyone thought. Weapons-grade materials. Nerve agents. Things that could kill thousands if they spread." Another pause. "Where are you?" "Seattle." "You?" "Close. But I'm not telling you where until I know you're not working for Alistair. I just survived a drone strike trying to rescue Marcus's widow and her daughter. If I was working for Alistair, that seems like a weird strategy." He heard what might have been a laugh. Bitter. Exhausted. "Okay, fair point." She took a breath. "There's a diner on Aurora Avenue. Mel's. Open 24 hours. Meet me there in 1 hour. Come alone." "I can't come alone. I have people with me who need protection." "Then we don't meet. Rebecca Alistair is killing everyone who knows about Operation Alistair. Vane is dead. Thomas Harding is dead. How long do you think it'll be before he finds you?" "I've survived 2 years. Because you've been invisible. But Dr. Chen just went public with her findings. The FBI is investigating. This is national news now. Alistair can't let you stay alive to testify." Silence. Then, 1 hour. Mel's Diner. And if I see anyone who looks like law enforcement, I disappear and you never hear from me again. She hung up. Jack turned to find Alara standing in the doorway. Lily was asleep on a cot in the corner, finally peaceful, finally safe for a moment. "We're meeting her," Alara said. Not a question. "Yeah. And then we get her testimony. Get her to the FBI. Get her on record about the money trail, the shell companies, everything that proves Operation Alistair is criminal conspiracy at the highest levels. And if Alistair finds us first," Jack met her eyes, "then we make sure he doesn't walk away from it." Alara nodded slowly. "Good." Webb emerged from the exam room, wiping blood off his hands. "Your friend will live. I've stabilized the wound, but he needs proper surgery within 48 hours, or he risks infection." "Can he move?" "Can he?" "Yes. Should he absolutely not?" Webb looked at Jack. "But I'm guessing you're not asking for medical advice. You're asking if he can fight." "Yeah." "Then the answer is maybe. He's tough. He'll push through the pain. But if that wound tears open, he could bleed out in minutes. So whatever you're planning, make it quick." Ben appeared in the doorway, shirt off, shoulder wrapped in fresh bandages. "I heard that. And for the record, I'm fine." "You're not fine," Webb said flatly. "Fine enough." Ben looked at Jack. "What's the play? Meeting Rebecca Marsh in 40 minutes, getting her testimony, ending this. Simple plan. I like it. Nothing about this is simple. That's what makes it fun." Alara checked on Lily one more time. The little girl stirred but didn't wake. "Dr. Webb," Alara said quietly, "if we don't come back, you'll come back. But if we don't, if something happens, will you make sure Lily gets to my sister in Portland? Her name is Claire Donovan. She'll take care of Lily if—" "You're coming back," Webb said firmly. "I've been patching up warriors for 30 years. I know the difference between people who are going to die and people who are going to survive. You're survivors." Jack wanted to believe him. 30 minutes later, they were driving toward Mel's Diner in a different vehicle, Webb's old pickup truck, registered under a fake name, impossible to trace. Jack drove. Ben rode shotgun rifle across his lap, wincing every time they hit a bump. Alara sat in back with Kodiak, silent and focused. The diner was exactly what Jack expected: flickering neon sign, half-empty parking lot, the kind of place where lonely people came to be lonely together at 4 in the morning. Jack parked across the street, watched, waited, looking for surveillance, for suspicious vehicles, for any sign this was a setup. Nothing. Just a tired waitress visible through the window refilling coffee for customers who looked like they had nowhere better to be. "I'll go in first," Jack said. "Ben, you stay here. Cover the exits. Alara." "I'm going with you." "Alara." "She's going to trust me more than you. I'm Marcus's widow. I'm the reason any of this matters." Her voice was steady. "I'm going." She was right. Jack didn't like it, but she was right. "Okay, but if anything goes wrong, you hit the floor and you stay down." "Understood." "Understood." They got out of the truck, crossed the street, entered the diner. The waitress looked up, smiled automatically. "Sit anywhere, hon. Coffee?" "Please." Jack scanned the space. 8 customers. 6 looked harmless truckers, insomniacs, people with nowhere to go. 2 were different. A woman in her 40s sitting alone in the back booth, nursing coffee and watching the door with eyes that never stopped moving. Rebecca Marsh. And a man at the counter back to the room, but something about his posture was wrong. Too alert. Too ready. Jack's hand moved toward the gun at his back. The man at the counter turned. It was Detective Klein. From Oak Haven. The one who'd believed Jack from the beginning. She held up her hands, showing they were empty. "Easy, Mr. Carter. I'm not here to arrest you." "Then why are you here?" "Because Sheriff Rostova told me you were meeting a witness. And because Rebecca Marsh called me 3 hours ago saying she wanted protection, but didn't know who to trust." Klein gestured to the woman in the back booth. "So I came. Alone. No backup. No recording devices. Just me trying to do the right thing." Jack looked at Rebecca. She nodded slowly. "I called her, after we talked. I figured if anything happened, someone should know where I was." Jack relaxed slightly, but only slightly. "You trust her?" he asked Rebecca. "I don't trust anyone anymore, but Detective Klein has been investigating Apex Holdings for 8 months. She's clean, or as clean as anyone can be in this mess." They sat in the back booth, Jack, Alara, Rebecca, and Detective Klein. The waitress brought coffee. Nobody drank it. "Tell me everything," Klein said. So Rebecca did. She'd been working with Marcus Hayes for 6 months before he died, tracing money through the shell companies that funded Operation Alistair. She'd found accounts in 12 countries, traced transactions worth billions, identified politicians, military officials, corporate executives, all taking payments in exchange for looking the other way. "This isn't just illegal dumping," Rebecca said. "This is systemic corruption. This is the military-industrial complex weaponized against its own people. And Marcus found the smoking gun, the contract that proved the DoD knew about the illegal disposal operations and approved them anyway." "Where's the contract?" Jack asked. "I don't know. Marcus had it. He was supposed to give me a copy the day before he died, but his boat went down and—" Her voice broke. "And I assumed the contract went down with him." "It didn't," Alara said quietly. Everyone looked at her. The journal. The pages that were torn out. Marcus wouldn't have destroyed that contract. He would have hidden it somewhere. Somewhere only someone who knew him would think to look. Where? Alara closed her eyes, thinking. The research station. There was a loose board in his office, behind his desk. He used to hide things there when we first started dating. Love notes, small gifts, things he wanted to keep private. If he was hiding something important. That's where it would be, Jack finished. But the station is gone, Rebecca said. After you broke in, Alistair's people burned it to the ground. There's nothing left. Jack's phone, the burner he'd picked up at the clinic, buzzed. Text from Ben. 3 vehicles just pulled into the parking lot. Armed men. Moving toward the diner. We've got maybe 60 seconds. Jack was up instantly. We need to move. Now. What? Alistair found us. Everyone out the back. Move. They ran. Through the kitchen. Startling a cook who dropped a spatula and stared. Out the back door into an alley. Behind them, gunfire erupted inside the diner. Screaming. Breaking glass. Jack, Alara. Rebecca and Klein sprinted down the alley. Ben's truck was already moving, swinging around to meet them. They piled in. Ben floored it. Behind them, 3 black SUVs gave chase. How did they find us? Rebecca was gasping. I was so careful. They're tracking me, Klein said. Her face had gone pale. My phone. They must have got. I led them right to you. She pulled out her phone, threw it out the window. Too late. The SUVs were gaining. Hold on. Ben yanked the wheel hard, taking a corner at 50, the truck's tires screaming. Jack leaned out the window. Fired 3 shots at the lead SUV, hit the windshield. The vehicle swerved, but kept coming. We can't outrun them, Alara shouted. She was right. Ben's truck was old, battered, running on fumes. The SUVs were new, powerful, relentless. They had maybe 2 minutes before being overtaken. Jack's mind raced through options. Then he saw it. Construction site ahead. Concrete barriers. Heavy equipment. Steel beams stacked like a maze. Ben, the construction site. Drive through it. That's a dead end. Trust me. Ben didn't hesitate. Whipped the truck off the road, through the construction entrance, weaving between concrete barriers and heavy equipment. The SUVs followed. But they were bigger, less maneuverable. They had to slow down. That was the advantage Jack needed. Everyone out now. They abandoned the truck, scattered into the construction site. Jack grabbed Rebecca. Stay with me, don't make a sound. They hid behind a steel beam. Alara and Klein found cover behind a concrete barrier. Ben disappeared into shadows, rifle ready, despite his wounded shoulder. The SUVs stopped. Doors opened. 12 men emerged. Professional. Tactical gear. Night vision. These weren't Vane's thugs or Alistair's mercenaries. These were Aegis Solutions' top operators. The best of the best. One of them spoke into a radio. Target vehicles abandoned. Multiple heat signatures in the construction site, requesting permission to engage. A voice crackled back, Alistair's voice. Kill them all. No witnesses, no survivors. Burn the bodies and salt the earth. The operators spread out, moving in coordinated teams, covering each other's angles. Professionals who'd done this 100 times. Jack watched them come. Counted positions, calculated odds. 12 against 4-5 if you counted Ben's wounded state as a half. Terrible odds. But Jack had fought with worse. He caught Ben's eye across the construction site, made hand signals, flanking pattern, crossfire, divide and conquer. Ben nodded. The first operator passed Jack's position. Silent, efficient, deadly. Jack let him pass, waited for the second. When the second operator was in position, back exposed, attention. Focused forward, Jack moved. Silent as death. His knife found the gap in the tactical vest. The operator dropped without a sound. 11 left. Across the site, Ben's rifle cracked. Once, twice. 2 more operators down, 9 left. But now they knew where Ben was. Concentrated fire erupted toward his position. Ben rolled, found new cover, returned fire. Jack moved again, taking another operator from behind. 8 left. Rebecca was shaking beside him. I can't do this. Yes, you can. You survived 2 years. You're stronger than you think. An operator appeared around the corner, saw them, raised his weapon. Jack was faster. 2 shots, center mass. The operator fell. 7 left. Alara's voice cut through the darkness. "Jack, behind you." He spun. Another operator weapon raised finger on the trigger. Jack didn't have time to aim, just fired. Wild shot. Missed. The operator's finger tightened. Then Kodiak hit him like a missile. 75 pounds of trained violence taking him down hard. The weapon discharged into the air. Jack finished it. 6 left, but they were adapting now. Changing tactics. Instead of spreading out, they consolidated. Formed a defensive position. Made themselves harder to pick off. "This isn't working." Ben's voice crackled over the radio Jack had taken from one of the dead operators. "We're pinned, and I'm almost out of ammunition." Jack looked at his own gun. 4 rounds left. Not enough. Not nearly enough. Then his phone buzzed. Impossible he'd destroyed his phone. But this was the burner from the clinic. Unknown number. He answered. "Mr. Carter." Sheriff Rostova's voice. "FBI just raided Aegis Solutions headquarters in Arlington. Arrested 14 executives, seized all financial records. And they've issued an arrest warrant for someone named Alistair, real name Colonel James Alistair, retired Army intelligence, currently operating as an unlicensed military contractor." "That's great, but I'm a little busy right now." "I know. We've got your location from Klein's last phone signal before she destroyed it. Federal response team is 6 minutes out." "But Jack, the operators at your location just got a kill order. Alistair knows it's over. He's trying to eliminate all witnesses before federal custody." 6 minutes is a long time." "I know. So I need you to survive for 6 minutes. Can you do that?" Jack looked at the operators consolidating their position. At Ben, bleeding and running out of ammunition. At Alara and Rebecca, civilians caught in a war they never asked for. "Yeah," he said. "I can do that." He hung up. Grabbed the radio from the dead operator. Switched to the channel he'd heard Alistair using. "Alistair, this is Jack Carter. I've got a proposal." Silence. Then, "I'm listening." "You want me. I'm the one who started this. Who broke into the research station. Who exposed Operation Alistair. Let the others go and I'll surrender. No more fighting. No more running. Just me and you face to face." "Jack, no." Alara's voice from across the site. He ignored her. "What do you say, Alistair? Are you brave enough to face one Navy SEAL? Or do you only fight when you've got drones and operators and money backing you up?" More silence. Then Alistair laughed. "You're trying to stall. Federal response team is coming. You just need to survive a few more minutes." "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just tired of running." Either way, the answer is no. I don't make deals with dead men, and you, Mr. Carter, are already dead. You just don't know it yet. The operators opened fire. All of them. Concentrated barrage. Bullets ripping through steel and concrete. Jack grabbed Rebecca. Pulled her behind better cover. Returned fire. 3 rounds left. 2, 1, empty. He was out of ammunition. Ben's rifle went silent too. Also empty. The operators advanced, confident now, knowing their targets were defenseless. Jack pulled his knife. If he was going down, he was taking some of them with him. Then the night filled with sound. Helicopters. Massive searchlights cutting through darkness. Federal vehicles pouring into the construction site from every direction. "Federal agents, drop your weapons. Get on the ground. Now." The operators hesitated. Looked at each other. Looked at the overwhelming force surrounding them. Slowly they lowered their weapons. Got on the ground. Hands behind their heads. It was over. Federal agents swarmed the site. Secured the operators. Found Jack, Ben, Alara, Rebecca, and Klein. Checked them for injuries. Started asking questions. Sheriff Rostova appeared flanked by FBI agents. "Mr. Carter, Mrs. Hayes, you have no idea how glad I am to see you alive." Jack wanted to respond. Wanted to say something profound or meaningful. Instead, he just sat down. Hard. Let the adrenaline drain away. Let the exhaustion catch up. Let himself feel for the first time in days like maybe they'd actually survived. Alara sat beside him. Didn't say anything. Just sat there. Two people who'd been through hell and somehow made it out the other side. An FBI agent approached. "Ms. Marsh, Rebecca Marsh." Rebecca nodded. "We need your testimony. Everything you know about Operation Alistair. The money trails, the shell companies, everything." "What about protection?" "Full witness protection. New identity. New location. We'll keep you safe." Rebecca looked at Jack. "Will it matter? Will my testimony actually change anything?" "Yes," the FBI agent said firmly. "Combined with Dr. Chen's scientific analysis and the evidence Mr. Carter uploaded, we're building a case that can't be ignored. Politicians will fall. Military contractors will face charges. This is going to be the biggest corruption scandal in decades." "Good." Rebecca stood. "Then let's get started." She walked away with the FBI agents. Another agent approached Jack and Alara. "We're going to need statements from both of you. Detailed accounts of everything that happened." "Tomorrow," Jack said. "Right now, Mrs. Hayes needs to see her daughter." The agent started to protest. Sheriff Rostova cut him off. "Tomorrow. Give them tonight." The agent nodded and walked away. An ambulance took Ben to the hospital. Klein went with him, filling out paperwork, starting the endless process of turning violence into bureaucracy. Jack and Alara returned to Dr. Webb's clinic. Lily was awake now, sitting on the cot, looking small and scared. When she saw her mother, she ran. Alara caught her, held her, both of them crying. Jack stood in the doorway watching. Dr. Webb appeared beside him. "They're going to be okay," Webb said quietly. "Yeah. Are you going to be okay?" Jack didn't answer, because he didn't know. The next morning, news broke worldwide. Operation Alistair exposed. Aegis Solutions shut down. 14 executives arrested. Politicians implicated. Military contracts frozen. Congressional hearings announced. And in the center of it all, video footage of Marcus Hayes, a marine biologist who tried to do the right thing and paid with his life, but whose work would now save thousands. Jack watched the news from a hotel room the FBI had set up. Safe. Anonymous. Temporary. His phone rang. The burner he'd bought that morning. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. But something made him. "Hello? Mr. Carter?" Alistair's voice. "Congratulations. You won. Operation Alistair is over. I'm finished." Jack said nothing. "But I want you to know something," Alistair continued. "Everything I did, every decision I made was to protect this country. The dumping operations disposed of materials that would have caused far more damage in enemy hands. The people I eliminated were threats to national security. I wasn't a criminal. I was a soldier doing the job no one else would do. You killed Marcus Hayes. I eliminated a security risk. He was a father. He was a liability. You're insane." "No, I'm honest. And that's what you'll never understand, Mr. Carter. You think you're a hero. You think you stopped the bad guys and saved the day. But all you did was make the world less safe. All you did was expose operations that were keeping Americans alive." His voice hardened. "And one day, when another 9/11 happens because we couldn't dispose of chemical weapons quickly enough, when another terrorist attack succeeds because we followed proper channels instead of doing what was necessary, you'll remember this conversation, and you'll know that I was right. Where are you? Somewhere you'll never find me. I have resources, connections. I'll disappear, start over, because people like me always do. We're necessary. The world needs monsters to fight monsters. You're wrong. Am I? Ask yourself this. Mr. Carter, who will do the dirty work now? Who will make the hard choices? Who will sacrifice their soul so others don't have to?" Alistair paused. "You destroyed me, but you haven't destroyed what I represent. There are 100 others like me, 1,000. And they're all doing the same work I was doing. The only difference is now you know about it. And knowing changes nothing. The line went dead. Jack sat there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. Maybe Alistair was right. Maybe the world was too broken to fix. Maybe all Jack had done was expose one conspiracy while 100 others kept operating in the dark. Or maybe Marcus Hayes was right. Maybe one person standing up and saying, "This is wrong," could start a cascade. Maybe Alara refusing to sell her land could inspire others to stand their ground. Maybe a 7-year-old girl watching her mother survive could grow up believing that courage mattered and justice was possible, and the bad guys didn't always win. Maybe that was enough. 3 weeks later, Jack stood on the beach at Oak Haven Cove. The cleanup crews were working. EPA, Coast Guard, military specialists in hazmat suits, removing the contaminated material, testing the water, restoring what could be restored. It would take years, maybe decades, but it was happening. Alara stood beside him, Lily holding her hand. "They offered me $10 million, Alara said. "Settlement from Aegis Solutions, to drop any civil suits." "Are you taking it?" "Half. The other half goes to establishing a research foundation in Marcus's name for marine biologists studying ocean contamination." She looked at him. "Dr. Chen is going to run it." Jack nodded. That felt right. "What about you?" Alara asked. "What are you going to do now?" Good question. The FBI had cleared him of all charges. The military was talking about awarding him a commendation for exposing Operation Alistair. The media wanted interviews. Publishers wanted book deals. Everyone wanted a piece of the hero. But Jack didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired. "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe I'll stay here. Oak Haven. It's quiet." "It's not quiet anymore. Not after everything that happened." "Then maybe it needs someone to help it become quiet again." Alara smiled. "I'd like that. Lily would too." They stood there watching the waves, watching the cleanup crews, watching the world slowly heal from wounds that might never fully close, but at least weren't being ignored anymore. Ben appeared, arm in a sling, walking carefully, but walking. "Sheriff Rostova just called. Alistair's been spotted in Argentina. Interpol is coordinating with local authorities. They think they can grab him within 48 hours. "You believe that?" Jack asked. "No. Guy like Alistair. He's got contingency plans for his contingency plans. But at least he's running. At least he's not operating freely anymore." "That's something." "Yeah, that's something." They watched the ocean. 3 warriors who'd survived a war. 2 of them broken and healing. 1 of them, Lily, still innocent enough to believe the world could be better. "Uncle Jack." Lily tugged on his hand. He'd told her not to call him that. She'd ignored him. "Yeah, sweetheart." "Did my daddy stop the bad guys?" Jack looked at Alara. She was crying silently. "Yeah," Jack said, kneeling down to Lily's level. "Your daddy stopped the bad guys. He was the bravest person I never met." "Mommy says you're brave too." "Your mommy's wrong about a lot of things." Lily giggled, then turned serious. "Uncle Jack, are there more bad guys?" Honest answer, or comforting answer. Jack chose honest. "Yeah, there are more bad guys." "Will you stop them too?" He looked at this little girl who'd watched her mother almost die, who'd survived a drone strike, who'd been through more trauma in 1 week than most people faced in a lifetime. And she was asking if he'd protect her, if he'd keep fighting, if he'd be the person who stood between the innocent and the darkness. "Yeah," Jack said. "I'll stop them too. Because that's what you did. You didn't give up just because the fight was hard. You didn't surrender just because the enemy was powerful. You stood your ground. You protected the people who couldn't protect themselves, and you kept swinging until either the bad guys fell or you did." Marcus Hayes had known that, had proved it by sacrificing everything to expose the truth. And now Jack would honor that sacrifice by making sure it mattered. By making sure Lily grew up in a world where courage was rewarded and justice was possible, and one person standing up could actually make a difference. The sun was setting over Oak Haven Cove, golden light on dark water, waves breaking against the shore in eternal rhythm. Somewhere out there Alistair was running. Somewhere out there other conspiracies were operating. Somewhere out there other people needed help. But right now, in this moment, Jack Carter stood on a beach with a widow who'd refused to give up, and a little girl who still believed in heroes. And that was enough. That was everything. The war wasn't over. It never was. But this battle had been won. Not through violence, though there had been violence. Not through power, though power had been necessary. But through one simple truth that tyrants and conspirators and men like Alistair could never understand. Some people care about things more than money, or safety, or survival. Some people will fight for what's right, even when fighting seems hopeless. Some people will stand between the innocent and the darkness, no matter the cost. Jack Carter was one of those people. Marcus Hayes had been one of those people. And Alara Hayes, who'd survived everything thrown at her and kept fighting for her daughter's future, had become one of those people too. The sun disappeared below the horizon. Night came to Oak Haven, but the lights in the town stayed on warm and bright and defiant against the darkness. And Jack Carter, standing on the beach with his friends and his dog and his scars and his purpose, finally understood what peace felt like. Not the absence of war, but the presence of something worth fighting for.